Hello and welcome to Let's Play Frontier Elite 2. This is a space trading and sandbox simulation game. Came out in the early 90s, and it's really a lot of fun, and I've been sort of discovering it for the first time over the past few weeks, and I really wanted to make a video of it because it's just a very, very impressive game. The version I'm playing here is called GL Frontier, which is an OpenGL version of the original game. Unfortunately, my recording software doesn't really work with DOSBox, so I can't quite go into the exact version of the game that is original, but this is basically the same thing. There's not really any important differences at all. So this is a game where you can trade goods between planets and star systems. You can take missions delivering things, carrying passengers. You can do work for the government. You can assassinate people. You can take photographs of secret military installations. You can smuggle goods illegally. You can do a whole lot of things. And you can even, pirate. You can hunt bounties. There's so much you can do in this game. And the whole solar systems are modeled realistically with physics, orbiting, realistic distances. You have to really accelerate time and to travel these vast distances between planets. And the flight model is a Newtonian physics simulation. It's really unbelievable that this game exists and came out when it did. So we're going to have to look at a lot of the details here after this super cool opening cinematic. The combat in this game is also pretty interesting. And it's not like combat in like any other game I can think of, really. This is not your typical Wing Commander space combat that behaves like you're flying in the atmosphere. This is momentum. This is real physics in space, for the most part. I mean, it's came out in the early 90s, so it's not perfect, but it really, really tries. So my goal in this game, first of all, anyone starting out in this game needs to try and build up money early on. And you can do this in a variety of ways. We're going to look at some of those ways, and the easiest one is trading. So I'll probably have to skip a few of the videos, a few trading missions, just because it's all pretty boring and the same thing over and over. But once we get the ball rolling with money, we'll be able to afford much better ships and take on much better missions. So getting out of this start menu, we have a variety of starting systems. These are basically your difficulty settings for the game. You can start in the ROS 154 system. Stop that. Okay. Which is the recommended start position. This gives you the best equipment to start out. It starts you in a pretty safe system, very close to Bernard Star and Sol, which are very safe trade route. Mars will start you with less equipment. You'll have to sell some things to afford important equipment. You'll have to do more difficult missions. And the stupid intro thing keeps trying to go on. The Lave system is very difficult, and I have not attempted it. It starts you off in a really dangerous system without a lot of police control, and it's just tough. So we're going to start off in the ROS 154 system. Here it is on our system map. We are right here. We're next to Arcturus, Fomalhaut, Lacaille, Opucci, Wolf. There's Bernard Star down there. So I have to say, the one thing I don't like about GL Frontier is that a lot of the interface is mouse driven, and you have to hold down the right mouse button and then drag things. And you can see when I do that, it does this really fast shift the first time you move the mouse, and it gets kind of annoying. So I'll have to deal with that, but we're just gonna, deal with it. So from ROS 154, we can scroll the map around, check out what we've got. We've got Alpha Centauri over here. Bernard's star up here, and here's Sol. This is our system. This is the sun, the Earth, the moon, Mars, all the good stuff. We're gonna go there and check it out pretty soon. But here's Bernard's star, which is in range. Sol is not in range of our jump drive right now, our hyperdrive. You can see on the left it says out of range. But Bernard's star, right here, if I can get it highlighted, fuel required 1 ton. So, here we are on the landing pad. We can change our view around a little bit. Here's our ship. Take a look at our ship. It is an Eagle long-range fighter with a Class 1 hyperdrive, which is max 8 light years. Good hull condition. We have no shield generator. We have a scanner, an automatic pilot, atmospheric shielding, and 1 gun mount for a pulsed laser. So the scanner is this thing right here in the bottom. It will tell us nearby ships and objects. It's important to have if you ever get into combat. All this equipment takes up a ton of cargo space also. If I sold all of this, I could actually carry more cargo, but we don't want to do that. Atmospheric shielding down here. This enables us to land on planets with an atmosphere. Without this, we would just burn up. Very important. Automatic pilot. You cannot play the game without this. It's almost impossible, I think. I mean, it's possible, but it's incredibly difficult, and it's going to take you much longer. Really hardcore players might do this, but you probably shouldn't. We'll be using the automatic pilot a lot. And we can also take a look down here for our profile, Commander Jameson. This is just your default name. We have a clean legal status everywhere. If you get caught smuggling or doing other illegal things, this will change. You'll have criminal record. We have our military standings for different factions: Federal, Imperial, and Elite. Elite just means how many kills you have, pretty much. Finally, our cargo. We have 1 ton of hydrogen fuel. You always need to have some hydrogen fuel in case you run out, because then you'll be stranded and you'll be finished. You can't do anything without fuel. So now we're going to go into. There's only a few options down here at this bottom menu. I guess I should run through them. Number 1, these are all F keys also, besides just clicking them. 1 is just view. I can cycle through all the views. F2 is this system map, and then we have a lot more options that we'll go over later. F3 is cycling through our status screens, which we've gone over. Now F4 is our communications, the little phone icon. On the planet, this enables us to take advantage of station services, and you'll be seeing this screen a lot. So we can launch, we can go to a shipyard, which will let us see upgrades, repairs, new ships, and we can pay fines to the police. We can take a look at the bulletin board, which has missions. So there's a whole bunch of different types of missions. There's this is a passenger mission, which are pretty lucrative. You can get quite a lot of money for these. This one is another passenger. This is a missing person mission, actually. This is one you can, if you see information about a certain person, you can get paid for it. I'm not really sure how these work yet. I haven't gotten too deep into them. This one is luxury goods. What these types of ads are looking for is if you have a certain type of cargo, they will pay a lot of extra money for them. For instance, this one wants to pay $3,000 a ton for luxury goods. I happen to know if you go to the Sol system, you can buy luxury goods for about 1,200 credits. So we could make about 2,000 per ton in profit, but if I had a lot of luxury goods here. Of course, I don't. We just started. But this is the sort of thing that you got to keep an eye out for. This is another passenger mission. Here's a federal military. They have a couple of missions, and we'll actually be taking on this Fomalhaut mission. Right here. So we're going to agree to do it. We can do a whole bunch of these dialogue options, but the military won't give us half the money up front, or any extra money, or anything like that. So we're just going to agree straight up and return. So we've taken on a mission from the federal military. This one is looking for battle weapons, which are illegal. Some of these are smuggling requests. There's another group passenger. And here's a package to the Fomalhaut system. 520. So, since we already have that mission from the federal government to the Fomalhaut system, we're already going that way. Let's go ahead and take this one too. We're going to agree and hang up. So that's all the missions that are available. And now we can go ahead and look in here at our passenger and small items roster. We have 2 missions to Fomalhaut by the 23rd of January. You can look at the date down here. It's the 1st of January. Traveling takes time, and every hyperspace jump takes about a week. So you have to account for this. If you can't do the job in time, that's bad. You get lower ratings from your faction. So this should be no problem. We're going to go ahead and look here. Fomalhaut is 2 jumps away. But that's only 2 weeks, and it'll be the 15th by the time we get there at the worst, and we'll be fine. So, how do we get to Fomalhaut if it's out of range? Well, we have to take an intermediate jump. Which looks like we have to go through Locale 8760, which is down here. So now that I have it selected on the map, we can actually go ahead and take a look at it. Here's the locale system, Locale 8760. There are no settlements here, it looks like. You can look at the imports and stuff like that, but there's not really much here. There's local corporations, small population. There actually might be some planets here that are inhabited. Asteroidal body. So let's go ahead and look for any starports. I don't see any. There's no starports in this system. Okay, that's fine. We're just using it as an intermediary system anyway. So, now that we have everything that we need, we're going to do one last check before we head out to the Fomalhaut system. I want to check any goods that they have here, because we're going to be docking here, and if we can carry extra cargo, we can make a little more money. So we're going to take a look at imports. They're importing fertilizer, farm machinery, robots, medicine, luxury goods, and plastics. So fertilizer, machinery, and robots are what we're really looking at here. And we're going to go back, go to ROS 154, which is where we are, and take a look at the exports. Unfortunately, none of these line up, which is pretty not fun. In fact, pretty much the imports are the same. So we can't really make any profit with cargo. Instead, what we're just going to do is buy a little extra fuel, because we have to make 2 jumps, and each jump takes 1 ton of fuel. Alright, so we're ready to take off. So we have to ask for launch clearance. We have it. Now we click this F7 button to go ahead and lift off. And here we are, lifting off into the sky. And now we're going to just go ahead and take off. And we can see the ground flying away beneath us. Let's go ahead and raise up our landing gear and watch this beautiful launch. Notice the cloud layer. I could actually fly all around this planet and just explore. There's not a whole lot to see on most planets because, you know, there's not like any textures or things. Sometimes there's mountains, stuff like that. And so we're going to use this time compression down here to speed up our ascent. Go up to -3. And there's the planet Merlin. We were just landed there, and now we are in space. Let's see if we can find the Willow planet here. Should be nearby. Or no, that might be Bernard Star. Hold on. Let's go ahead and... Astra, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so Astra should be over there. Willow's up there. Whatever. We're just going to go ahead and go down to Locale. Alright, so now that we're in space, we're going to go back to this front view and say goodbye to Merlin. Oh, another bug with GL Frontier is that in this view, the spaceship is kind of transparent. not much you can do about that. So we're going to go ahead and hit F8, which will take us through hyperspace. Do a kill. Bam, here we are. Now if we look at our fuel, we're down to 1 ton. We used up a ton of fuel, and the date is the 7th of January, which is a week later. So now we're going to go ahead and take our jump to Fomalhaut. And we're just going to hit F8 again. Now the time is the 10th of January, which is a bit of a shorter jump actually, not bad. So we're in Fomalhaut. We're going to take, press this F2 button, and we want to go to Conversion, which is this planet down here. It's one of the only inhabited planets. We're going to zoom in. Zooming in takes a little while. And here's Dobson Terminal. So this is where our autopilot comes in. We can actually just fly here, and you know, I'll show that in a second. Going back to our front view, here's all the different planets and things. Here's Conversion. This is the planet that we were just looking at. So we can actually just point in this direction and just fly. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm holding down the Enter key to increase thrust. And now we can just turn on time compression and away we go. But doing this is really difficult because you have to slow down by the time you get to your planet, and that takes a very long time and it's hard to do accurately. So I'm just going to turn the autopilot on, turn up the time compression to all the way, and now we are accelerating incredibly fast toward this planet. The distance is labeled in AU, which is astronomical units. 1 AU is the distance from the Earth to the Sun in our solar system. So now that we're getting a little closer, I'm going to slow it down just a tad. Okay. I did not mean to do that, but now we're a little bit closer. Alright. So we've landed at Dobson Terminal. Yeah, Nick, I'll do my best to slow it down when we get closer, but it didn't quite work. So we can see that our missions are complete. We've got $854 or credits, whatever it is, which is, we just made a profit of about 750 credits. Pretty good for one jump. Now we're going to go ahead and head back, but let's take a look at the bulletin board. So this is interesting. Here's a job for the Ross 154 system. They want me to kill somebody, but I don't have a high enough elite combat rating, so they won't hire me. This elite rating, which we had here, harmless right now, I haven't killed anyone, so I don't really have any reputation for that. So they won't hire me for this assassination mission. That's something you have to build up to. So, let's see what missions we have available. Anything going to Ross 154 would be great, but it looks like there's nothing here. So let's take a look at our stock market. Now we see hand weapons are actually legal here, and I'm curious to see if they're legal in Ross 154. Go ahead and hit this. Hand weapons are actually illegal in Ross 154, but in Fomalhaut they are legal, so we could actually smuggle this if we want to. And I think I'm going to try, but before I do that, I'm going to save. Alright. In case you get caught, it's important to kind of save every once in a while. So I'll buy 2 tons of hydrogen fuel so I can make the journey. And I'm going to buy some hand weapons. I only have enough money for 1 ton because they cost $500. And once I get back to the Ross system, I can sell those on the black market for quite a bit of profit. So we're going to go ahead and launch. There is a danger, of course, with smuggling illegal goods, which means the police can catch us. Hopefully, that won't happen. Alright, so we're going to get a look outside the space station. The space station's pretty awesome looking. It's a rotating system, and as you dock, you'll actually rotate along with it. So anyways, very, very cool. So let's go ahead and go back to Locale. We're taking the same route back as we got in. Got to raise my landing gear. And let's jump. And Ross 154, jump. And here we are. So let's go back to the system. We were orbiting Aster. One of the moons of Aster is Merlin. This is the planet that we started on. There's Sirocco Station, where we took off. Now, it's worth mentioning at this point that the autopilot is a little buggy when it comes to ground landings. So we're going to hopefully not die, but sometimes it'll smash you into the planet. But you know what? We saved right beforehand, so it's not really a big deal. So we have the autopilot on. We're accelerating at max. Okay, now the ship is under attack. This is a good chance to show off the combat. Let's see, I gotta turn engines off. Alright, here's our target. It's SG-215. He is 0.97 kilometers away and firing a pulse laser at us. This should be a pretty easy battle. So, the way combat works in this game is, notice we had the autopilot on, and we were traveling. We're traveling right now at 12,000 kilometers per second. And because you have so much momentum, it's really hard to actually change how fast you're going and to slow down quickly. So these space battles are not taking place at a slow speed. These space battles are taking place while both of us are whipping through the universe at 12,000 kilometers per second. In order to actually catch up to me, this guy is going at the same speed I am. So we're going to go ahead and put it back up. And we're going to use the scanner down at the bottom to check out where he is. So this guy is traveling at the same speed I am and the same general velocity, which means that I can make these maneuvers right now that I'm making. I'm accelerating forward a bit and backward a bit. And all I'm doing is changing my relative distance to this particular guy. I'm not actually changing my actual speed or velocity by anything more than a minuscule amount. So I'm trying to get kind of close enough to him that I can land some shots. The GL Frontier version makes it kind of difficult to actually hit. Oh, a missile. Alright, so I died from a missile. If he didn't have a missile, that would have made things a bit easier, but he fired a missile at close range and I instantly died. So that's kind of what happened. Let's just load up our last save. And we're just going to do the exact same thing, no big deal. Buy hand weapons. F4, launch. Alright, so I'm just going to sort of zoom back to where we were. It's all pretty quick. Okay, and back to Ross. Alright, here we are. And let me just set the autopilot one more time. So these attacks are actually pretty random. We might not get attacked again. I hope we do so I can actually show off the combat a little more, but it's not really a big deal. So we're going to go ahead and select Sirocco Station again, turn on the autopilot, turn on time compression, and here we go. Looks like we're not going to get attacked this time, which is pretty good. But I'm going to try and slow it down by the time we get there, just so that we don't smash into anything unnecessarily. Okay, so slowing it down. Alright, so we actually overshot the planet, and now we're traveling in reverse. The ship has to fire in the reverse direction in order to slow down, and we're going to go back to the planet now. here is Aster, which is the, well, this is the planet. We're heading toward a moon of Aster. So here we go. The autopilot, hopefully, is going to slow us down appropriately. So I'm going to go actually turn it to manual control just a little bit so we don't smash into this planet. And slow it down just a tad. Yeah, the steering is a bit off in this version. I just don't like it. Alright, so we're slowing down just a tad. I'm under manual control right now because here's the thing with the autopilot. If Sirocco Station is on the other side of this planet right now, we will smash into the planet and die. So I have to sort of verify that at the moment. Let me go ahead and check this out. Looks like it is on the other side of the planet, so that's a good thing that we're not going to smash into it. Alright. Well, I think that's it, actually. Let's slow down a bit more. Alright, so I want to try and come to a halt at this point, but I'm going to overshoot the planet just a bit. So we can go back and look at the planet. There it is. This is the dark side of the planet. It actually does have a light and dark side and days. Alright, so we're slowing down. There we are. So let's speed back up. I'm activating the autopilot once again, but I'm kind of curious if we're going to smash into it. Yeah, it's on the other side of the planet, I think. Well, is it on the dark side or the light side right now? It's on the dark side, which is where we are. So I think we're good. I think we're good. We're going to try it out. I'm a little worried that we're going to smash into it, so I'm just going to slow it. I'm going to go back to manual control. Try and do this as well as I can. Alright. Most of the time we're going to be landing on space stations, and this won't be a big deal. But for now, we're landing on a planet. We want to be very, very careful about how we're landing. So there's Sirocco Station. We have made it, but I think the pilot's going to overshoot us again. No, we're good. Alright, cool. Let's take a look at this landing. This is something you can do manually. You just shut the engines off and sort of drift downward. It's pretty tough, but you can do it. But we're going to let the autopilot handle it any chance we get, because it's just a pain. And you can see these atmospheric domes on the surface of this planet, or on this moon. You can actually fly in there, but we're not going to do that at the moment, because this video is getting pretty long and we're going to end it once we land. But maybe in the next video we'll take a little flyby through Sirocco Station. And look at the clouds. There's Aster in the distance. Some planets have mountains. You can actually, there's a station right next to Olympus Mons on Mars. There's some mountains in the distance. And we can fly over and check those out if you want to. So, you know, leave messages in the comments, and if you really want me to do specific things, I'll try and do them. But the scale of this game is just immense, as you can tell. Seamless flying between space and ground. Everything looks great. It's really cool. Now let's speed this up a little bit and land. Here we are. Whatever. Alright. So now we're going to go to our bulletin board and check out bulletin board. Bulletin board. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. Start market. Bulletin board. Okay, there's nothing here. I'm confused about that. So all I have are these hand weapons right now. But I can't sell those on the normal store. So yeah, it's all confusing. Whatever. You know what? We're just going to go to Bernard Star, which is up here. So I'm going to buy hydrogen fuel. I'll buy 2 just in case. And I'm going to save it. And I will come back in the next video and we're going to take a trip smuggling hand weapons to Bernard Star.